I spent 4 months diving deep into Asphalt Legends Unite, trying and breaking every key car in the game, and the results were like, after taking notes of well over 20,000 words, this is what I found. Today I'm breaking down the raw stats, real in-game value based on the performance and placement of the cars, and giving each car a rating out of 10. Some will shine and others not so much. But remember, it is just my opinion. If you disagree with anything, then just simply let me know your thoughts in the comment section. First up, we have Lotus ER9, a steaming pile of If I had the power to remove any car in this game, that would be this car. It is just a sheet of metal and nothing else. It is overranked to the extreme. People say that Temerario or Revuelto are bad, but no, they are bearable. This car should not exist. The car manages to go at the speed of 381 km per hour. The acceleration at 81 is on the top-notch side, and the only good thing about this car. The handling and drifting are extremely good, and the nitro is just fine. Not bad, not good. Now you might be questioning that if the car is fine, then what's the problem? And that is the shape of this car. This car does not help with its shape. Since it is so flat, you would end up in the situation that you would be nailing your cornering and one bump in the wall, it will fly in the air in a weird way. Little bit off to the ramp, it will do the same thing. And one minute mess up with the traffic car. This car will not take it well. And due to all this, the momentum can be broken on this car too easily. It is more fragile than your ego. The nitro is fine considering the acceleration of this car, but when it comes to going for this car, the answer is a big negative for sure. Call me biased, but this car pushed the FLM down the ladder in the elite event in the name of faking, and for that alone, I actually hate this car a lot. Now, this is not something that since it was released broken, so I still hate it today, and my hate is the problem and not the car. The CC850 was terrible on release, and now it is one of my favorite car. But this car is compromised because of its physics, and it gets prestigious 0 out of 10. This is certified the most hated car by me. Next here we have Lamborghini Autentica. If you ask me, this is one of the most questionable car that is added in the game. Well, the stat may not be the thing that you would question, but the placement is definitely the main thing. And for that alone, the performance of this car is awful. I have already covered this car and you might be aware of it. In the name of performance, this car manages to go at the speed of 383 km per hour. This speed would be decent if it were in Class A, but unfortunately that's not the case. The car is actually sitting in Class S. The acceleration is weak at 79, so that's a thumbs down. Handling is just okay, but the wide drifting is another letdown. And the nitro stat is 70, but at this point it actually does not matter. The only good thing here is that it was released in a Grand Prix event, which is better than releasing it in an extremely pay-to-win event. In multiplayer, forget about it. Not gonna waste your time with this one. So, should you bother going for this car? I would say no. Don't waste any valuable resources on it. Even if Gameloft gave this car away for free, you wouldn't be gaining much. This is just a niche scenario where you will not use this car unless you specifically need it. 1 out of 10. Next up, we have F3 Frangivento Sorpasso GT3. This car is steaming pile of garbage. If you ever feel useless in life, just pull out the image of this car. Because this car is an S-Class car which on its debut got demolished by Jaguar XJ220s, an A-Class car. It happened because Jaguar has some unfair advantage over this car. But that's not the whole story. Not only that Jaguar was faster, it also has one of the lowest acceleration, down to the extreme. And for this car, well, speed is low, only manages to go at the speed of 407 km per hour. The acceleration at 85 is the only good thing about this car. The car loses speed while drifting, it has wide drifting radius. The handling is okay, but that leaves us with the nitro, which is not good enough to compensate the speed loss. As you will be getting up to your speed, you will run out of nitro and then you would be going without it. If you try to drift at that point, you will lose speed even further. Some people say that it looks good, but I would happily throw this car in the trash and never look back. Should you try going for it? This car may be good for collectible, but I would say absolutely not. If you still want to go for it, then be careful what you wish for. 1 out of 10. Next here we have good old Bentley Continental GT3. This car is pretty decent in real life, but it has some toxic relationship with Gameloft. On the debut of this car, they gave this car some terrible of the stat, one of the worst drifting the player base has ever seen. Then they fixed that. Then they released Bentley Continental GT Speed in Class A in mid of 2022 and applied the stat of that car to this car. And boom, now you have a car that goes at the speed of a beginner A-Class car but in Class D. And after that, they still alter this car like minute tweaks here and there. By the way, I'm telling you the stat, and if there is any change in them, then let me know. The car manages to go at the speed of 314 km per hour, so not the king of the class by any mean, but just decent off speed. The acceleration at 74 is more toward like it take ages to accelerate. The handling and drifting were terrible on release, but now they are fine. The car has decent drifting radius and the nitro is 43. Not the amazing, but it does the job. So if you are an OG player, you are probably aware that this car is not the apple of everyone's eye, and it should not be. The car appears in key hunts, and should you go for it? Well, you can try going for it, but don't spend any precious resources on this car. It's just not worth that. After you acquire this car, you will probably won't use it, so just mediocre at best. 1 out of 10. Next up, we have Chevrolet Corvette C7R, and it is the definition of a car that drives like a brick. Think of it like Pininfarina Teorema of Class D, but released in 2020. This car drives good, but only in Gameloft's trailer for update. In-game, this car is extremely bad. At max, it is more alike to Fury, but worse acceleration, handling, wide drifting, and a lot less of a nitro. The car manages to go at the speed of 320 km/h, which is decent for Class D competition, but that's the only good thing about this car. The acceleration at 80 does not help this car much with its terrible handling and drifting, and the nitro stat is also of not any usage. Before you get up to your speed, the nitro would already have ended, so now you are just going at your normal speed without nitro. Since the release of this car in 2020, not a whole lot of key hunts have been made possible to get this car, and even if they happen, I don't think that you should try too hard to get it. The only good usage that can happen for this car is this car getting featured in a special event. 1.5 out of 10. Next we have Renault R.S. 01. I think Gameloft has done pretty dirty with this car. Somehow they seem to do it with all the Renaults in the game, and sometimes it makes me question like why. For the stat, the top speed is only 326 km/h. The acceleration at 80 is decent, the handling and drifting are not worth mentioning, the radius is pretty wide, and the nitro is just fine, I would say. In multiplayer, you are not gonna use it even if it is given at max free try. You may end up going for it, but you will not use it, unless you specifically need it. This is the sole reality of this car. People tend to disagree, but I would still say that the performance of this car is absolutely atrocious. 1.5 out of 10. Next we have Lamborghini Miura concept. It is not the production Miura which is present in Asphalt 8, this is the concept version for some reason. It sits at higher end of Class C and it boasts a fairly decent top speed of 360 km/h. Now, a lot of you might be familiar that Lamborghini Huracan manages to go at the speed of 358 km/h. Yeah, this car is going faster than Huracan. Now, I would really love for these two to trade blows in a duel, but Miura does not have strong other stats. Its acceleration is just 72, which is downright awful and is a major drawback for this car. The handling is fine and the drifting is okay, but there is another issue, which is nitro. The nitro efficiency leaves a lot to be desired, and with such a poor acceleration, the lack of strong nitro makes it hard to maintain its top speed. Most of the time, you will find yourself cruising between 305 to 320 km/h. When you look at this car in multiplayer, the chances are much more like that this car may not work out for you. And I guess this is a part of the reason that why Gameloft actually threw this car away in a showroom event, because it's not really useful. Same goes with this car in a rank-based multiplayer system. Now you don't have to solely rely on my words for it. You can also judge all this as well. If you have this car, then answer me these 3 questions. How often do you use it? How often do you see others using it? And how much does it deliver to you? Put your answer in the comment section if you have any. 1.5 out of 10. Next we have Ford Mustang Mach-E 1400, and in the name of Mustang, this car has a lot of debate for things people hate and love about this car. But as to how is this car in real life, that's a different topic. I'm not here to address that. But in the game, it's also not so much extraordinary. It is decent, but I do not really see much of a point like recommending this car. To give you a sort of introduction about this car is basically a Dodge Hemi on steroid, and that it is sitting at top of Class D. The car manages to go at the speed of 314 km/h, so yeah, the top speed is not that much amazing. The acceleration at 82 is a thumbs up in my opinion. The handling is not so much amazing, it is not the most nimble thing to drive, and the drifting radius, while it is not bad like Griffith, it is also not too great. The drifting is fine, the nitro is good, and coupled with decent acceleration pushes this car to a good car territory. But the dilemma is not much different when it comes to going for this car. It is a key car and it appears in key hunt, and just like the Continental GT3, the utility gets questioned a lot. Some people say that this car would have been a lot better if it has some perfect nitro boost, and I would say that maybe, but does that really matter? So at this point I want to know, what do you think? Should an average new player go for this car, and if not, then what are your recommendations to that player? I actually happily use my Taycan turbos in place of this car, and pretty happy with the results. 1.5 out of 10. Next we have Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo Evo. It's a fairly decent car. This car was added in 2020 in the LVN Drive Syndicate update. When you look at the performance of this car, it reaches a top speed of 316 km/h and has an acceleration of 83, which is fine, I would say. The handling is smooth, though the drifting is a bit wide, and the nitro is just average. Not too strong, not too weak either. In a rating based multiplayer system, this car can easily carry you to the higher leagues, as it can hold its own against mid C class car. However, when facing faster C-class car, you will mostly finish podium, which is usually enough to reach a higher leagues. However, for the rank-based multiplayer system, it may or may not work out for you, but speed is mostly sufficient. If you want to get this car, I would say grinding in the key hunt is the only option as for now. And if grind is not possible, then just collect the guaranteed blueprint. 2 out of 10. Next here we have Lamborghini Essenza SCV, and if you are a regular viewer on my channel and familiar with this car, you already know where this is heading. I had never been of any great point of view about this car. I have mentioned all that fluff in my Lamborghini review and 73 cars list based video, so I do not intend to repeat that here. This car manages to go at the speed of 355 km per hour, which puts it a little bit ahead of the Colorado but only 3 km per hour slower than the Huracan. The acceleration stat is 85, slightly better but still just a step ahead of the Huracan. Its handling is poor, and while the drifting matches the Huracan, it does not stand out in any positive way. And let's face it, nothing can beat the Huracan's ludicrous nitro efficiency. But even that doesn't matter here. It's a track version of Huracan and it performs worse than that, no matter way you look at it. You can kinda see my problem here with the utility of this car. It does not do anything that Huracan isn't already doing, and if you want to go slower, just use the Grand Sport, or maybe even cars like Porsche 911 GT3 RS. So overall, I don't think Essenza has any advantage over Huracan. Yes, I'm fully aware that I'm being harsh on this car, but honestly I don't think that I should give it anything more than 2 out of 10. Next here we have DS E10's Performance Edition. This car, even though it sits at top of Class D, it manages to go at the speed of 316 km per hour. The acceleration stat is 86, which is one of the strongest stat about this car. The handling is great, but the drifting, oh boy. I said in a previous video like an idiot that it is good, but it is abysmal. The car loses a ton of speed pretty easily. The nitro stat is decent given the acceleration of this car. Now whether or not this car is king of Class D, that's a different thing. I would not necessarily call it a king because it is slow for that, and the drifting is extremely lacking. This car may get featured in a good special event, but that's the only good niche scenario for this car. 2.5 out of 10. Next here we have Alfa Romeo Giulia GTAm. This car is not bad, but it is also not good. This car tries to be jack of all trades, but it does not win most aspects except top speed. And the key culprit that dragged this car down a lot is its handling and drifting. It is just not ideal for 2-seat track. And for straight track, this car is at disadvantage at the hand of TVR Griffith. If any legends from you watching this who knows how to handle the Griffith, you will eat this car for breakfast. I don't have this car, but the thing that I have observed the most is that this car handles and drifts like Infiniti Project Black S. The car manages to go at the speed of approximately 326 km per hour. Let me know if I'm somewhat wrong about the speed. The acceleration at 77 is not the greatest thing because of the presence of Volkswagen Electric R, even though that car is slower than this car. The nitro is decent, but if you go for this car, you are required to tame this car to get decent results. If we talk about amateur players, they will use BMW i8 Roadster or Porsche Taycan Turbo S over this car. And pros will use the Griffith. So this car tries to be one size fits all but fits to no one. Only good thing for this car is this car getting featured in a special event. You also don't really see this car much in a multiplayer, and it is pretty obvious that why that is the case. For the most part, 2.5 out of 10. Next we have Aston Martin Valor, and I would say straight away that I have so many questions. Like, why so much injustice with such an iconic car? If you hate this car, you are not wrong, but this is game law fault. How blatantly ignorant you would have to be, or how much injustice you would have to do with a car that you have to remove its Grand Prix after releasing on the backlash that you have received. It feels like a blatant negligence on part of game law. If this car had been fine, then it would just be considered as not worth to have and players will move on. But the reason the backlash was so strong is in the stat, and let's discuss them. The car manages to go at the speed of 345 km per hour, a 4-star B-class car which goes exactly at the speed of a Grand Sport. So not too bad. The acceleration stat is 78, still better than the Grand Sport, which is 76. The car handles to a fine degree, but the drifting is absolutely horrible. All of a sudden it starts behaving like a Cadillac CN, and this is why the backlash happened during the Grand Prix. Because guess what, you would have to qualify the round with 1-star car. And at max the drifting is horrible. How horrible it would be at stock. And I think it would be a pretty iconic car. I love the look of it. I would love to turn it white and use it in events. But GameLove has done a lot of injustice with this car. As for the Grand Prix removal that I mentioned earlier, this car was so broke that the Grand Prix of this car was changed into 007's Grand Prix midway. This is not something that you would see more often. A car so broken that they entirely ditched it, and since then not a whole lot of debates about this car. I would love to give it like 6 or 7 out of 10, but as of now, feels like a 3 out of 10 car for me. Next we have Aston Martin Vantage V12 2022, and this car is tricky to recommend. The bottom line is that if you hate the Griffith and don't care much about cars like Griffith, then you would not bother much going for this car. But if you have somewhat complained with Griffith that you wish it would be a little better, then this car somewhat fills the shoes of the Griffith in that sense. When it comes to comparing with the Griffith, this car has low top speed, better acceleration, better handling, worse drifting, and slightly better nitro. The Griffith on the other hand is faster but takes time to excel, and has challenging nitro. so both have their own traits in this regard. This car manages to go at the speed of 345 km/h. The acceleration stat is 75, which is low but better than the Griffith. I have discussed the rest of the stat, but all of this really led me into saying that there are two types of people. One who hates the Griffith, so they will hate this car too because it is somewhat similar and not so much better, and the other who will like the Griffith but may also know how to drive it properly. In either situation, the thing that saved the grace for this car is this car getting featured in a special event, because pro player will keep using the Griffith and noobs like me will keep using i8 or Taycan Turbo S. I'm not saying this car does not have merit, it does, but it is tough to recommend. 3 out of 10. Next here we have Volkswagen Electric R. Call it IDR or Electric car or whatever your heart desires. But this car is strong contender that is sitting at top of class D. The most remarkable stat of this car is its acceleration. The moment you start the race, in no time you have reached your top speed. This car has 88 acceleration stat, which is toward leading acceleration stat in the game. The car manages to go at the speed of 301 km/h. The handling is good, but the drifting is a bit hard to describe. It is just sometimes it keeps good traction and maintain a good drifting radius, and sometimes it goes too wide. The nitro is not much, but it is also not needed, because acceleration does the job for this car. The other used to be plus point for this car was that it was available in Clash 2, but now given the club clash is over, it was yet to be seen as to where it gets featured. My personal assumptions were either Spotlight event or Godland, as I have mentioned before, and it did get featured in Spotlight event. However, I don't really use this car. I use my Porsche Taycan Turbo S most of the time, but this car is solid 3 out of 10 for me. Next we have Glickenhaus 004C, and this car is very good in my opinion. It is one of the best car in class D. If you just ignore the fact that Griffith exists in the game for a while, this car will serve you good to the very best. The top speed is 324 km/h, which is good. The acceleration is very bad at 76, but that's not the problem, because the handling and drifting are very good. The drifting radius is not like one of the very best, but it is good. And the car is pretty nimble and easy to drive. Lastly, the nitro is decent. You can grind for this car in the key hunt or in any rerun of its Grand Prix. It has also been featured in Venom's Spotlight event, and I have discussed that previously. But here I would say slight words of caution for you. If you are coming from driving Lotus Elise or BMW i8 Roadster, then this car will be problematic for you. And you will have to learn managing the nitro enough to cope with the bad acceleration to maintain a good top speed. But you will be able to do it without much of a problem. The car is fun in Ghost and Ghost Slipstream season. For Classic season, the other cars might get ram into you, because this car does not have great acceleration. So that's the only negative in this situation. 3.5 out of 10. Next we have Ford GT Mark II. I would say that this car was valid for the most part during the time of its release, but nowadays it has lost the relevance, especially in presence of Ford GT Frankie Edition. Now flashback to 2020 to the time of its release. People were not happy with this car, either on the day of its release. The main disagreement that people had with this car is its stats. But not just stats, they are completely polar opposite to the normal Ford GT. The regular Ford GT has good top speed but worse everything else. This car has good everything else but extremely bad top speed. As for the stat of this car manages to go at the speed of 329 km/h. The acceleration at 86 is good and helped this car taking the lead in the very beginning. The handling and drifting are extremely good and the nitro is strong. Now you can choose to go for this car, but your only chance to win the race in this car is hoping that competition may not catch up to you, which is something that you will not always escape. This car is outdated in today's age, especially when cars like Revuelto and Temerario have been given away for free. You may not have them at max, but the sheer fact that they have been given away for free is something that you can't neglect. And it imposes serious damage to this car. Similarly, cars like FLM have also been made a lot more accessible. This further pushes down this car to the ladder of utility. If Frankie Edition had been in Class B, that would make things even worse for this car. The car in itself is slower than the Ferrari Monza SP, and while acceleration may be important, it's not gonna save the grace for this car all the time. Only possible utility for this car is this car getting featured in a special event. 3.5 out of 10. Next we have Ferrari 296 GTB, and Gameloft just straight up did bad with this car. I kinda wish Ferrari would see what they have done with this car. The car managed to go at the speed of 355 km/h. It would have been an Asterion in Class B, but they put it at the top of Class C. Okay, mismatched performance for its rank. The acceleration at 81 is fine. The handling feels fine, but it turns to perform like a boat. I have this car at 3 star and it feels that way. The drifting is not so amazing, and finally let me guess, the devs might be thinking that the nitro should be kept low. In an attempt that this car would have good drifting anyway, so it does not need much of a nitro. But given that it does not drift well, the nitro is not enough. Now you can kinda conclude that nothing about this car is special by any means. So with all of this stuff, I would give it 3.5 out of 10 rating. Maybe useful for some people, but not for me. Next up, we have ATS Corsa RR Turbo. And straight out of everything, the first thing you will notice about this car is not its acceleration, it's the nitro. This car is good and it can provide as to your need, but there is just a slight issue. It's a 4-star car, and the car at this star count comes with some sort of compromises. So before mentioning that, let's start straight about it. This car managed to go at the speed of 335 km per hour. The acceleration stat at 87 is more towards stealthy side. The car is very smooth to handle, but the drifting is a lot lacking. The drifting feels stiff like we feel about Maserati Alfiri. To put it in simple words, it is not so great feeling of drifting with ATS Corsa, and sometimes you will notice a struggle compared to the other high-end well-rounded contenders of Class C, like Porsche Panamera, Brabham BT62 or Ferrari 599 XX Evo. Lastly, the nitro, it is very low. Now some people say that it can do drift punching and that's improves its drift radius, but I'm not aware of it. On its own, the car is pretty capable. And if you don't have any other good C-Class car, then you should go for this one. 3.5 out of 10. Next we have Maserati MC20 GT2, and the information that I managed to get for this car would be a little hit or miss, because there was not a whole lot of information about this car on the internet except the Grand Prix reference. I have yet to form a concrete opinion about this car, but from the information that I managed to collect about this car, I would say that this car is fairly decent. It manages to go at the speed of 351 km per hour. The acceleration at 84 is decent. The handling and drifting is not like extremely good, but it's also not like Mercedes AMG GT Black Series or Daytona SP3. The drifting is just average, and the nitro is fairly decent. Not too long, not too short. This is what I managed to gather about this car. Let me know about this car as to how much better it is, or if I have messed up anywhere. I'm leaving it at blank out of 10 because I will rate it after forming a concrete opinion about this car. Next we have Maserati MC12, and I think Game Love has done dirty with this car. It's a pretty iconic car, and for that the top speed is decent. It manages to go at the speed of 355 km per hour. This may not sound much, but this is upper end of Class C, and for that I think it's a decent speed. But then comes the acceleration, which is 76. You might say that, okay, what about handling and drifting? Well, they are good. They are decent, not too bad. But after acceleration, the stat that hampers this car the very first hand is the nitro. At this point, I don't mind the low nitro. But with this car, the nitro had to play an important part to balance the performance. And given the fact that it is low, it does not do the job. Now to add to your injuries, it's a Grand Prix car, meaning that very few of you would have this car at max, and while it is not that much reliable at max, you can imagine the pain that it would be at, let's say, 1 or 2 star. The best usage that you can get from this car after winning it in the Grand Prix is this car getting featured in a special event. 3.5 out of 10 at best. Next we have Mercedes-Benz AMG GT Black Series. This car does not worth the resources that are meant to be spent on it. If you have cars like Porsche Panamera, Gallardo, 599 XX Evo or Acura NSX GT3 Evo, you are pretty much good to go in my opinion. Because not every car may beat this car except for like Gallardo, they are all fun to drive than this boat, car. Only thing that goes in favor of this car is actually the look, and it looks pretty sick, even better in real life. When you talk about the stat of this car manages to go at the speed of 349 km per hour. The acceleration at 81 is decent and strongly goes in favor of this car, but the handling and drifting, I don't know what Game Love was even thinking. The handling seems to be fine for the most part, but the drifting, it is abysmal. It is on par with that Ford GT. In any prolonged session of drifting, you will feel the struggle. The nitro is decent, not too much, not too low. So aside from the look, this car does not have anything going for it. And fair enough, this car does not deserve the resources that are to be spent on it. Let me know if you suggest otherwise. 3.5 out of 10. Next we have Arash F8 Falcon Edition. If you think that this car flies, then you are extremely wrong. People often say that this car is a worse Ford GT Mark II. The problem is, if you call it that, then that would mean that this car has low top speed than Mark II but good everything else. In reality, it's not like that. You can call it as a Corvette Grand Sport after 5 heart attacks. This is the only possible image that I can think of this car. When you look at the performance of this car manages to go at the speed of 346 km per hour. The acceleration is even worse than the Grand Sport, standing at 76. The handling and drifting are just average. They just manage to do the job for you. The car is not something that you would say that it is optimal for twisty track, and the nitro for the most part is not strong enough to support the low acceleration. So it is about final thing that this car is useless. But as to how much useless we are talking about, well, maybe it had some utility on the day of its release, but nowadays, just like Ford GT Mark Mark II, this car is not really useful. Only possible utility for this car is this car getting featured in a special event, which it did in the ATS Automobili GT event rerun. And it was good that they gave away the key of this car with the event too, so that you don't have to grind in the key hunt. Maybe this car and Mark II should be thrown away in a showroom event, but I will ponder on that point in some other video. 4 out of 10. Next we have Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport, and if you straight up say that this car is bad or useless, I would say that you are judging too quickly. Actually this car is equally capable, but only has one weak spot, which is the acceleration. The acceleration is the only bad stat which drag it down when stand next to cars like Brabham BT62 and Ferrari 599XX Evo. This car manages to go at the speed of 337 km per hour. The 599 goes 335 km per hour. The bad acceleration that I mentioned earlier is at 73. The handling and drifting are very good, just as good as 599, and the nitro is strong. Now to explain the gap, if the Ferrari 599 acts like a Huracan, then this Cayman excels like a Grand Sport. This is the only difference in between these two. 4.5 out of 10. Next we have Bugatti EB110, and I think that Gameloft has done dirty with this car. This car is one of the most iconic and retro Bugatti, and most of the iconic cars like F1LM and W12, they sit at the top of Class B, but they put this car in Class C. I may not have the disagreement with the class if the stat had been good. The stats are pretty much for a sluggish car, to be honest. The car manages to go at the speed of 362 km per hour. When you look at the speed, this is faster than Sesto Elemento. This is why I said that this could have been placed at top of Class B with good stat. But in the current position, the rest of the stats are terrible. The acceleration at 74 is pretty low, the handling is not the best, and the drifting radius is wide. And the nitro stat, while it was needed to support the bad acceleration, it is just not there. The nitro efficiency is pretty low. Now should you go for it? Well, I won't stop you from going for it, but don't spend any token on this car. This car is only good for straight track, and it completely falls apart on any twisted track. It gets featured in key hunt, so with a little effort, you can get this car. So as for now, this masterpiece is only good for collectible, and it will collect dust in your garage after you unlock it. 4.5 out of 10. Next we have RS S1. People say that it's a great car, which it is, but it has some compromises, and it is worth it pointing them out. So this car has perfect nitro boost, and with that it manages to go at the speed of 333 km per hour. If you think that is a good top speed, well, Pininfarina H2 speed manages to go at the speed of 331 km per hour. The acceleration at 89 is one of the highest and strongest stat for this car. The handling is fine, but the drifting is wide. While cornering, it tends to go wide. And for the nitro, it is bad for perfect nitro boost reliant car. At this point, I would say that only thing that saved this car is the acceleration. And if that had not been this high, I don't think people would really care. Now, I would say that Gameloft should have placed this car in Class B. Because in Class C, it is standing in a very crowded space of handling oriented cars. That goes almost the same top speed of this car. If it had been in Class B, maybe at 4-star like AF8 Falcon Edition, it would have been Mac Mercury for Class B. Now, as to where this car sits, it is still pretty much forgotten. I don't really see this car in multiplayer. Not a whole lot of opportunities have been made possible to get this car, except maybe some few hunts. If you ask me, I would pick Panamera anytime over this car. Let me know what do you think. 4.5 out of 10. Next we have Pagani Zonda HP Barchetta. This car is one of the most exclusive and expensive Pagani in real life, and Gameloft has done dirty with this car. Not by providing bad stats to this car, but by weird placement. This car should have been placed in Class B for the stats that this car has, but it is present in Class A, which makes it like so much useless that it feels like another version of 812 Superfast, and you will not use it until you specifically need it. Now for the stats that this car has, they are not bad, but they are also not exceptional. You are looking at the top speed of 364 km per hour. The acceleration at 79 is low in my opinion. The handling and drifting are fine, and the nitro does its job. So what's the standout about this car? Well, nothing, because if you look at the speed, we have Lamborghini Sesto Elemento from Class B that goes slower than this car, but with much better acceleration stat. This is why I said that this car should have been placed in Class B. As it is placed low in Class A, it would be at high end of Class B. Even the debut of this car with the Venom in the Heatwave season in 2021 holds special place in my heart. But performance wise, this car is just meh. 4.5 out of 10. Next we have FV Frangivento Asfane, and I actually have one of the weirdest coincidences with some of the most useless cars in the game. Yes, I'm talking about this one. I will explain the stat in a bit, but the coincidence was that this car was required in DS10. And while playing multiplayer, I looked at this car. It was gold, and I thought maybe it's a free try car in the season. Because in those days, free try cars were displayed as to where they sit in the classes, instead of beginning of classes that we have now. But then I clicked on it. There was no free try or car regulated on the Asfane, and the car was gold. I was shocked that since when this car has been gold in the collection. Now let's come to the stat. The Asfane manages to go at the speed of 389 km per hour. The acceleration is decent at 82, not too good, not too bad. The car has decent handling but terrible drifting. Lastly, the nitro is decent. In a short way to describe it, no matter what you call this car, I simply won't prefer it. Even though I have it at gold, there are a lot of better cars in Class A that can do better than this car. The main thing that drags this car down the most is its terrible drifting. And while the rest of the stats are just average, this does not leave the player in any desire to get this car. Moreover, it's a key car, so you have to wait for it to be featured in a special event. If I'm being honest, I will use my gold trusty Valhalla over this car. 4.5 out of 10. Next up, we have Razor Tachyon Speed, and it is just downright useless. We have two Razors in the game, and as for now, both are broken. The Tartarus has some music given it sit at the top of the class, but this car just does not worth any penny. This is also why you only see this car getting featured in some random events, and nothing else. Since the car is useless, let's not waste your time here further. The car goes at the speed of 416 km per hour. The acceleration stat at 77 is just downright meh. It would have been saved by some grace if the handling and drifting are fine, but the car is sluggish to the extreme. It loses ton of speed while drifting, and low acceleration requires more nitro to get the boost, so that it could get up to its speed. But nitro is also lacking. It is not enough even for a straight track. Due to all of these reasons combined, maintaining momentum is so hard in this car that you think that I'm better off using other cars. And this is why you don't really see this car anywhere. If GameLoft somehow manages to fix this car, then it would be somewhat decent for its class. But as for now, it is downright awful. 5 out of 10. Next up, we have Brabham BT62. It is another smooth contender that you can have if you don't own the Ferrari 599XX Evo. It will do the job just as fine for you as Ferrari 599XX Evo. When compared with 599XX, the BT62 has the same top speed. The acceleration is at 83, whereas the acceleration of 599 is at 80. The handling and drifting are both capable, but it is slightly lacking on BT62, just slightly. The nitro is strong on both of these cars. If these cars are put next to each other, the BT62 will take the lead on shorter tracks and 599XX will take the lead on much more twisty ones. But if you think that the gap is too much in between these cars, then it is not. The performance of both cars is extremely close. 5 out of 10. Next up, we have Ferrari 599XX Evo. Remember the Brabham that we discussed earlier? Yeah, this was the contender that I was talking about. It's a great C-Class car. Now some people call it overranked, like it does not belong as to where it sits, or that it is just a glorified Pininfarina H2. But I'm not gonna embrace any of those comments, because it's a great car. As for the stat, this car manages to go at the speed of 335 km per hour. The acceleration stat at 80 is good, the handling and drifting are extremely good, and the nitro is long lasting. It is one of the strong contenders of Class C and it appears through key hunt. If you are a beginner who wants an agile and easy to drive car, then I would recommend this car to you. The other smooth and sleek contenders are Brabham BT62 like we discussed earlier, and Porsche Panamera, which we will get into it. In multiplayer, this car is solid. 5 out of 10. Next up, I have to nominate Ferrari Daytona SP3. I reserve my opinion for this car because I don't have it, and I want to test it through Max Free Try season and feature it in the short. The key thing that I heard about this car is that its performance is more alike to the Arenera, but with better acceleration and worse drifting. I'm not gonna jump to the conclusion too quickly, so till then I reserve my final verdict about this car. Blank out of 10 for now. Next up, we have Acura NSX GT3 Evo. This car is straight up extremely good car. I would prefer to call it Grand Sport of Class C, because the top speed is nearly identical to Grand Sport. When you look at the agility aspect of this car, people debate that, oh, we have 599XX Evo or Cayman GT4 Club Sport or Brabham already. But I would say that this car is a complete package. Think of it like a Vanda and just trim the acceleration part, because it has perfect nitro boost and everything else is a whole lot better. When you look at the performance of this car manages to go at the speed of 345 km per hour. Like I mentioned earlier, to trim the acceleration part, yeah, the acceleration is at 74, which is too bad. But on the flip side, the handling and drifting are extremely good. The car is just as nimble as the regular Acura NSX 2017 and the nitro is long, just like the Vanda. It just never ends. I would say that this car was like fresh air after the LV and Drive Syndicate update, so yeah, pretty solid in my opinion. 5.5 out of 10. Next we have Porsche Panamera Turbo S. And one thing I would like to mention here is that in the next 5 years, I see players using this car a lot. Because while it may not be the fastest thing, the Panamera has everything they ever asked for, both as a noob and as a pro player. And because this car is so much well-rounded, it tends to get difficult to beat players who are in this car. Because from every corner and from the start, you will see this car speeding up crazy. Not because of its high top speed, but because of its extremely good acceleration. On paper, the acceleration is at 87, but sometimes it feels like it is 89. Just an opinion of mine, but 87 is still a good stat. The car manages to go at the speed of 340 km per hour. It is extremely nimble with tight drifting radius, and it can also do floaties and small punch, as a pro player would prefer. And for the nitro is low, but it is not bad, because the acceleration complements it. And the little nitro that it does has, it is sufficient. As for now, the car is readily available to the players in the Gotland store, but I do not really see this car in multiplayer. I would highly recommend going for it. Just like Pininfarina and Acura, this car would be the next evergreen contender that future players will use. 5.5 out of 10. Next we have Mcleran Solus GT. And I have some bad news with this car. This car is wasted in my opinion. By wasted, I mean that the stats are not so much ideal with this car. This car should have been made a Huracan competitor, but it is not. The only leg up this car has over the Huracan is the acceleration. But to be honest, if we take Huracan and this car and just imagine this situation for a bit, at how many occasions would you be in the dire need to excel faster than the Huracan? So much so that you don't care giving up a little bit of a speed for the sake of acceleration. Nothing man, because that scenario just does not exist. And so the utility with this car. If it had been the acceleration of 86 and 364 km per hour or so top speed, that would be so much OP for this car. This car as for now only manages to go at the speed of 349 km per hour, which is not the ideal top speed in my opinion. The acceleration is top notch and 90 extremely powerful. The handling and drifting are amazing, and the nitro is decent for the acceleration that this car has. But when it comes to going for this car, it really does beg the question. Because Huracan is 9 km per hour faster than this car and comes with sacrifice of slight acceleration. And the gap is not that much far apart. And given the fact that Huracan is pretty easy to get, what scenario would you define going for this car? The answer is not very many except this car getting featured in a special event. This is the only good reason going for this car. And for the rest, the Huracan will already got you covered. And one last word for this car. This might offend some of you. I can't help but ask GameLoft to put it at the top of Class C. And boom, you have a king of Class C. And that would validate going for this car so much. So do let me know what you all think. However, this car will easily got you covered in Gotland. 5.5 out of 10. Next we have Nissan R390 GT1, and I gotta ask why it did so bad with this car. Just like Enzo is for Ferrari, F1 for Mclaren, in my opinion this is the peak masterpiece for Nissan. Do let me know if I'm missing on something here, but this car is useless. The only good stat that this car has is its top speed, and how much good of a top speed we are talking about? It is 388 km per hour. The acceleration is at 76, which is definitely you at 7 am without coffee. The handling and drifting are just like your dating life, awful, and the nitro is just like toxic relative, not helping this car in any way. I think I have just appalled the car even further. Now on its own, this car could have done better. I would love to see this car in a way like Essenza, low top speed, 77 or so acceleration, bit loose handling but manageable drifting, and the nitro efficiency of Apollo N. So 95% of the time, this is the car that deserves above. In its current form, there is no usage of this car except it getting featured in a special event. Now you might say that this car will do good in slipstream season, but speed is not everything. Besides, Apollo N will do just fine for you, and that is a lot easy to obtain car. 5.5 out of 10 in general. Next we have Pagani Zonda R. A lot of people hate this car, well some of you love it. If you ask me, I like this car, both in game and in real life. This car steals the show with how it sounds in real life. However, I'm not necessarily a fan of this car's performance. The performance is not bad, but it lacks the drifting. And given the fact that majority of the tracks in the game are twisty, in my opinion the drifting is a lot more important. When you look at the stat of this car, Zonda R manages to go at the speed of 381 km per hour. This top speed is decent on its own. The acceleration is good at 84, the handling of this car is good, and the drifting is a lot worse as you know. The nitro on itself is decent. This car is not for twisty track, and the performance is good for both rating and rank based multiplayer system. But you need to tame this car to your need. The most prominent leg up this car has is it getting featured in a special hunt. While it is good for collectible, with a little grind and very little number of tokens spent, you can even gold this car, which is definitely thumbs up in my opinion. 6 out of 10. Next here we have Lamborghini Reventon Roadster. This is one of classic looking Lamborghini, and I would say it out loud that just like this car is rare in real life, we also don't see this car much in the game too. Now even though it was released in a Grand Prix, but I don't know, maybe it was hard to compete or just players did not have the resources at that moment. So long story short, in multiplayer you don't really see this car. In the name of performance, you are looking at the top speed of 370 km/h, which is pretty high among B-class cars, but not like Kings or anything. The acceleration is again on lower side, sitting at 78, which tends to hamper this car. On the plus side, the handling and drifting are extremely good. The nitro is 74, which is strong, and it pretty much negates the low acceleration. In the rating based multiplayer system, this car can give decent fight. However, in the rank based multiplayer system, it can do good in Ghost and Ghost Slipstream season, but not so much in Classic, because of all Vandas and Huracan ramming into you. Now the main competitor this car has to face is Apollo N, which goes to show that ceiling for this car to achieve is pretty high. I have this car at 3 star, and at 3 star it is not so great if I'm being honest. At max it is completely different story, 6.5 out of 10. But this rating is not final, it may go lower, but for real it's a beautiful car. Next here we have Porsche 935 2019, and to be very honest with you, I never get to like this car enough. That's because I did not manage to tame it enough, but it's a good car. Not the fastest in its class, but pretty OP and equipped with good stack. The car has pretty sweet history too. It's a factory racing version of 911, released in 1976. Now this model is from the year 2019, so this is a different generation. But this race spec monster was inspired for the 911 GT2 RS, and this is why it also performs like that too, just slightly worse. Now you may or may not have this car, but I would say think of it like as Huracan is in class B, not the king but well equipped. This car goes at the top speed of 366 km/h, so this is about the same top speed as Lamborghini S2 Elemento or Ferrari 812 Superfast. You can probably imagine the speed better now. The acceleration at 84 is replica of Huracan, the handling and drifting are extremely smooth and sharp, and the nitro is sufficient to do its job. So while this car may not be too much OP, it is definitely not bad, I have to say. 6.5 out of 10. Next here we have Tech Cruise 8096 track version. It was first ever Grand Prix car and one of the best Class A car of its time. There used to be a time when I dreamed about this car, but this is not for now. Just like your favorite cars died down due to electric revolution, something also happened to my love for this car too due to speed revolution. I would say this is the best way to put it. Think of it like a Huracan BC, but with better acceleration and much worse nitro. I have reviewed this car before on this channel, on the arrival of its Unleash event when I had 78 or so subscribers. So let's look at the stat of this car. The car manages to go at the speed of 379 km/h. The acceleration at 85 is what I would call top notch if it had been the year 2021. Now I'm not gonna call it that. It's a good acceleration. The handling and drifting are extremely good. This car provides extremely good competition on twisty track, and the nitro, well, due to strong acceleration of the car, it is not much, but it is sufficient. This car is evergreen like Huracan, but it is just not something that would win against anything. It has its own limit, which is why in any given situation, I would never recommend you to spend token on this car, even if it gets featured in an Unleash event. The best way to get this car, I would say, is this car getting featured in a special hunt. You will grind for it and get a decent car out of it, without spending too much resources on it. If you think otherwise, let me know. 6.5 out of 10. Next here we have Porsche 911 GT2 RS Plus Sport. If you are an enthusiast of pure speed, then this car is not for you. But if you want to have fun on the track, then this car is absolutely made for you. By fun, I mean all type of fun. Fun while driving and fun with the crazy stunts too, because it tends to do that too. I don't use it, mainly for the stability, but for the most part, this car is one of the best cars in Class A, for the sheer fun that it has to offer. Let's discuss the stats of this car. The car managed to go at the speed of 371 km/h, so this is about the same as Mcleran Senna GTR. The acceleration at 83 is more than enough. I mean, I would not ask for more, it's plenty if not less. The handling and drifting are extremely good. It is extremely sensitive to steer and the drifting radius is very sharp. And if you are a drift punching and floaty enthusiast, congratulations, this car has that too. This car is a sort of evergreen car, but the side note is that I would not recommend this car to any beginners to go for, because chances are they don't have good cars already. So this car will not do good for them. It is only good for collectible. That's only when you have good cars and you add this car to your collection. And in the same scenario, this car does not worth your tokens. It has arrived in an Unleash event previously. If it arrives in a special hunt, then absolutely go for it. But if you don't mind to get this car, then this is not a big deal. Cars like Huracan BC and Honda Electric Dendrobium will do just fine for you. So I would say no hates toward this car. It is just not a whole lot useful. 6.5 out of 10. Next we have Jaguar XJ220s TWR, and this car is not something that I will look at it and say wholeheartedly that yeah, you should go for this car. But if you ask why as to what's bad about this car, well, I don't know where to start. The top speed is 398 km per hour, which is fine with the Class A standard but completely abysmal for S-Class standard. The acceleration at 75 is arguably one of the weakest points of this car. The handling and drifting are extremely good. The car, if not efficient, it is very smooth in this category. The nitro is strong to support the bad acceleration, but the low acceleration hampers this car in a way that you try hard to get up to your top speed, and by the time you would be reaching it, you would be out of the nitro. And if you don't get any nitro bottles, you may drift again, and this cycle continues most of the time. This car is not for rating based multiplayer system, but for rank based multiplayer system this might be useful, but don't raise your expectations too high. I would say that it is pretty much invalidated for multiplayer. But should you go for it? Well, no, because only good usage for this car is this car getting featured in a special event. And you will not use this car unless you specifically need it. 6.5 out of 10. Next we have Ferrari 488 GTB Challenge Evo. This car is one of the well-rounded cars sitting at top of Class B. Think of it like a Ferrari 599 XX Evo in its class. Not the fastest but well-rounded and good car. This car is not really king of its class, even on the day of its release. Now whether or not it's a Huracan killer, it really is the matter of your preference. I have this car at 3 or 4 star and the performance is okayish. When you look at the performance of this car manages to go at the speed of 365 km per hour. So it is like a contender to Lamborghini Sesto Elemento. The acceleration stat is 82, which is fine, and if compared with Sesto Elemento, that car has acceleration at 86. The handling and drifting of this car are enough to get the job done. They are good and sufficient on most of the track. The nitro efficiency is strong. Now when you ask that should I go for it, I really can't recommend it. I think your tokens are better spent on cars like F1M or Revuelto. If you think of the notion of it being a Huracan killer, well, it really depends if you have this car or not. Whether you do or you don't, chances are you might as well carry on using the Huracan. Moreover, I do not really pay much attention on that notion. I am looking at this car based on its solo performance. Let me know your opinion. 7 out of 10. Next we have Lamborghini SC63. I personally love the look of this car. This car is a solid upgrade to the Mcleran Solus GT, and while we are at it, let's break down the stat. The SC63 has a top speed of 367 km per hour, which is decent. The acceleration at 86 is strong. The handling and drifting are excellent, giving it an edge. The nitro stat at 59 is pretty respectable, but you can use it freely like you do with Huracan. You have to be planned while using your nitro. And I would also mention that this car has some sort of physics issues, like the momentum seems to break down as it does some weird stuff randomly. Maybe it's just me being a noob, but let me know if you have experienced this too. On the plus side, this car can also do floaties, so if that's your style, you will appreciate it. In a rating based multiplayer system, while it is not the fastest, it can hold its own against the competition. In a rank based multiplayer system, it is not used in slipstream season, but in classic it will absolutely dominate. And if you have this car, you might also get some edge over others if it gets featured in any special event. Finally, should you invest in this car? Absolutely, it's a Grand Prix car, so the Grand Prix may return in the future, and it's definitely worth spending token on this car. Solid 7 out of 10. Next we have Lamborghini Temerario, and I would straight up say it out loud that it has been a major letdown, especially when you look at the performance of this car and compare it with Lamborghini Revuelto. This car reaches a top speed of 373 km per hour. The acceleration stat is high at 87, but this is where the good things end. The car struggles with cornering, having a bit wide drifting radius, and it loses speed pretty easily. Even though its nitro stat is higher than the Revuelto, it does not contribute much to overall performance. When this car was released, I mentioned in the update video that a nitro will not feel like it is adding up much to it. And that's exactly the case here. The special event for this car was also hit or miss. You were required to own Lamborghinis for reward at each stage, but you were required to use the Temerario for Lamborghini Epic, which was frustrating. Even at max, the Revuelto outperforms the Temerario with its better drifting and top speed. But this statement might change if Gameloft during the course of time just tweak with this car, because you never know when they just adjust any given car. The car was given away for free in its special event, and I currently have it at max, but I still prefer my gold Revuelto over this car. So this masterpiece gets 7 out of 10. Only plus point was this car getting featured in ER9 Mayhem event. Next we have Zenvo TS RS, And this car, I have a controversial opinion about this one. It is not that the stats are bad or anything, but this car is being used by the system to do players dirty sometime. It happens very rarely, but it does. Now when you look at the car is pretty good and it has good performance, but it is another clone of Sesto Elemento. And aside from the stat, the most unique selling point this car has is its swing. So the controversial opinion that I had with this car is that Gameloft often uses this car to abuse with the system. So you will see this car in an event where this car is really not much needed. Gameloft does use this car as a barrier to restrict players in an event. And since the release of this car in 2021, not a whole lot of opportunities have been made possible to get this car. So that's the only disagreement that I have with this car. When you look at the stat of this car, the car has perfect nitro boost and it manages to go at the speed of 356 km per hour and 366 km per hour with perfect nitro boost. The acceleration at 85 is good, the handling and drifting are also very great, and the nitro is a bit short for it being a nitro reliant car, but it does the job fine. So it is just another competitor to Huracan and identical clone of Sesto Elemento. So should you go for this car? I would say yes, but be aware that there is not much happening with this car. This car is decent, but not extraordinary. Plus this car getting featured in ER9 Mayhem event more recently was also a plus point, and it did somewhat address my earlier grumps with this car of not being made available more often. 7 out of 10. Next we have Pagani Utopia. This car is pretty iconic in real life, but in the game, its performance is somewhat disappointing. It is just a bit better than Pagani Huayra BC, and given the same fact, I think it totally invalidates the purpose of specifically going for this car. The Utopia manages to go at the speed of 382 km per hour. The acceleration stat at 81 is decent, the handling and drifting are fine, but they are not like top tier as Imola. The nitro is decent. So the question really arises is that should you go for it? You may say that heck yeah, it's obvious, why should that be a question? But the problem is that this is a key car, sitting in between two readily available and OP Paganis, Imola and Huayra. So what's the usage for going for this car? The answer is not much. The car is solid in multiplayer, but there is just a niche scenario that you will only use this car when you specifically need it. It also got featured in ER9 Mayhem event, which was a plus point. 7 out of 10. Next we have Volkswagen W12 Coupe. I would say straight away that this car is pretty capable, but the most shortcoming this car has is its nitro. But not just that, it also has low acceleration. The car goes at the speed of 385 km per hour, which makes it a top tier car in its class, which also competes decently with A-class cars as well. The acceleration at 79 is low, it is extremely nimble to drive with good drifting radius, but it feels a bit sluggish with the low nitro. However, the drifting radius is very good. Now when it comes to driving this car, you really need to be skilled at managing its low nitro and low acceleration. I would pick the FLM any day over this car. This car in itself is pretty capable, but if you give me option to pick one between Lotus ER9 and this car, then that would be this car. Now here are some words of caution. I would not recommend any player to play showroom event of this car. I know that with the autoplay feature of showroom it's a bit better and you may try it, but proceed at your caution. Because in my opinion it's a pretty grindy event. So I would say that you are better off spending your resources on F1M. However, the Mayhem event for W12 was the best thing that ever happened, and I am pretty sure that many of you got this car from there. So let me know your experience with this car. 7.5 out of 10. Next we have Glickenhaus 007S. This car was one of the best pick to let loose in a special event. Even though the event was slightly grindy, but it was better than SC18 one. You got to get one of the most OP car that has the potential to demolish the spammy lane of Vanda. How so? Well, the answer is in its stat. The car has the acceleration of 89, which if not the fastest now, but definitely towards top tier. And at the time of its release in 2021, it was one of the best in its class, and still is. The car managed to go at the speed of 373 km per hour. It excels faster than Vanda and goes faster too. The handling and drifting are extremely good. The nitro is weak compared to Vanda, but it is good. Because if it is too strong, then 07S will become the successor to the Vanda. And it is great that it's a killer, not the successor. And it is challenging often that you can drive this car the same way that you drive Vanda. So it does require you some skill to tame it, but once you do, you will be doing a lot more than you think. And if you are a beginner who happens to get this car, well, you have got a jackpot for real. The car will serve you good no matter where you use it. 7.5 out of 10. Next we have Lamborghini Revuelto, and in my opinion it is one of the best looking hybrid Lamborghinis in the game. I personally prefer design of this car over the Temerario. When you look at the performance of this car, the Revuelto reaches a top speed of 376 km per hour. The acceleration stat is 86 and just a point behind the Temerario. However, the Revuelto has significant edge in drifting and cornering compared to Temerario. The handling is great, the drifting is better than Temerario, and the nitro is more than enough to support the car's performance. In the rating-based multiplayer system, the Revuelto is not as fast as the Mcleran F1, but it is still a reliable car with all the elements needed to dominate most of the competition. And the same folks goes in a rank-based multiplayer system. This car may not be good for Ghost Slipstream season, but it is a solid contender for Classic and Ghost series. Now whether or not it deserves to sit above F1, it's a different story, because Game Love controls all this. Now, should you invest in this car? My advice is affirmative, but with slight words of caution to beginners. To prioritize maxing out cars like McLaren F1, Apollo N, Aston Martin DBS Superlyra and Huracan first. Once you have done those, then you can consider Revuelto. This does not mean that Revuelto is a bad car, but the reason is that the competition in this speed bracket is tough, with many cars from Class B and Class A does perform at similar speed and have balanced other stats. But one thing that Revuelto has in its favor, that it may get featured in a special event, and I would highly emphasize on the word may here. 8 out of 10. Okay, we have exceeded 50 cars here, and from now on the rating will fluctuate, because at this point the problem is that an S-Class car performs worse in S-Class, but it cannot be placed below A-Class cars for that, because some factors just didn't agree with it, so I kept them where they are on the basis of my findings. Next up, we have Lamborghini SC18. It is one of my favorite Lamborghini in the game for its stunning look. This car is essentially a Huracan BC clone. While the top speed is lacking, the acceleration is better, and the handling and drifting are nearly identical. The nitro efficiency, even though it is slightly worse, but it is still a stellar nitro efficiency. The car just never seems to run out of nitro on the track. The SC18 reaches a top speed of 376 km/h. The acceleration stat is 82, its handling and drifting are smooth, and the nitro efficiency is strong. In the rating-based multiplayer system, just like the Huracan BC, the SC18 will age well and can hold its own against the competition. And same goes with the rank-based multiplayer system. It is an evergreen solid contender. If I'm being honest, I won't hesitate to recommend you to go for this car. However, I won't recommend spending token on its solo card pack. You may go for it in the special hunt if that ever returns. It may not be the best car, but I like it. 8 out of 10. Next up, we have Lamborghini SC20. This car released with the Heatwave season update in 2021 still holds up well today. It's quite similar to the Gentia clone, even better. But this raises the question, now that the Genti is available in Starway event, do you really need the SC20? And this one thing has happened since the inception of this car. This sheer confusion as to do you really need this car, due to which this car did not get much of a love from the community, except it getting featured in random event where they need this car. When you look at the performance of this car, the SC20 reaches a top speed of 385 km/h. The acceleration stat at 81 is decent, its drifting is impressive though the handling can feel a bit stiff. Nitro efficiency sits strong at 68. In rating-based multiplayer system, the SC20 can put up a decent fight. Only A-class car which is like crazy faster than this car is Jaguar XJ9. This car is also evergreen like VLF, SC18, BC and Genti, but while many players don't have it, it also begs the question that should you really go for it? Or should you go for other better cars? Well, I have a scenario for you. If the season going on is very boring and this car appears for you, then maybe you should go for it, if you are not saving for anything else. This is the best I can think of. Let me know if you suggest otherwise. The Grand Prix for this car occasionally rerun, and for that I would say that it's a solid car. But there are also other better options to invest in that you can consider. 8 out of 10. Next up, we have Mercedes-Benz Vision 111. I wanted to unlock this car at the time of its release, but due to TVR cigars that was required to be owned as a Lightning Pass car, it spoiled everything for me. And for that, the cigars became the most hated car by me of that time. But now I have it, so we can move on from there. This car has a lot of potential. The car manages to go at the speed of 396 km/h, so it is faster than most of our top A-class car at the time of its debut, except Forza, which goes 397 km/h. The acceleration at 83 is decent. It is not top notch nor like low, but I would say that it is good that it is this way, because if it had been too much then the top speed would be compromised. But here comes the bad part. The handling and drifting are good, but the feel of the drifting is not good, and it is not helped mostly by the shape of the car. The feel of the drifting is not ideal. You will see it cornering inside, but the feeling won't be there. So it is like a brick field drifting that performs good. Pretty weird to explain, I have to admit. I actually hate the way that it looks. I'm not a fan of cars that have vision or concept in their name and then they look like this. And companies release them and say that this is what we can do. And my general question is that who asked you to do it? So let me know your thoughts for it. I need more mature opinion on this car. 8 out of 10. I wanted to give it 6.5, but I think that would be too brutal on the car. Let me know. Next we have De Tomaso P72. This car is something that I have a lot to say about, but don't know how to say it. You know that amazing spicy woman that you see but struggle to communicate with? This is what this car reminds me of. Now, how are you in your dating life with women? That's a different topic. But this car is extremely hot, I would say. And I'm glad that it delivers to the look enough that I would prefer to own it. Plus, I did get it. This car is not like top notch, but it's also not equipped with worst performance and pushed to the top. The car managed to go at the speed of 390 km per hour. This is not the fastest, but it is also not slow. The acceleration at 82 is decent, the handling is pretty good, and the drifting radius is tight. I don't know about the floating abilities, but it feels like it can do floaties, but let me know if I'm wrong. The nitro is also strong. The car is extremely rare in real life, and I'm glad that this car adds spice in the collection of the game. When I make this car bright white, I love the gold chrome accent on the wheels and the mirror. So I love both the look and the performance of this car. This is the car that you would bite your lips looking at. Let me know if I have gone too far with this reference. 9 out of 10. Next we have Lamborghini Countach LPI 800-4. If I'm being honest, this car was a love at first sight for me in real life, but on its debut in the game, it stirred up a lot of controversy. The community was outraged, with many players even boycotting in-app purchases and purchasing the Legend Pass. But the problem was not with the car itself, it was the event through which the car was debuted. The special event was incredibly exclusive, and meeting the requirements was extremely hard, even if you are a spender in the game. But that's now beside the point. Let's talk about the stat. The Countach reaches a top speed of 388 km per hour. Performance-wise, the Countach is positioned right in between Aston Martin Valhalla and Pagani Mola. Neither worse nor better. The acceleration is decent at 81. The car is nimble in handling, but it does fall a bit short in the drifting department. The nitro efficiency is also respectable, making it a solid all-rounder. In multiplayer, this car, just like the contenders like Imola and Valhalla, can deliver solid performance. Plus, it is also epic reliant car. So when you apply epics to this car, it becomes a beast. So, should you go for this car? Yes, because this car tends to be featured in special event. 9 out of 10. Next we have Mcleran F1M. This car in 2025 is still the king of Class B and is an extremely good car. One thing I would say out loud is that this car will age like a fine wine in this game. Just like Huracan is evergreen, this car will also be evergreen, and just like the Huracan, this car has also been let loose to a lot of players. Now I might lose friends for saying this, but people who say that this car is obsolete for its low acceleration and they hate this car, I would say love you. When we talk about the performance of this car managed to go at the speed of 392 km per hour. The acceleration is the only downfall for this car. It is 74, so one of the lowest one, and it is actually the main reason that this car is being hated. The handling and drifting are extremely good, and the nitro is also stellar. One thing is pretty clear, you may either straight up hate this car for its bad acceleration or love this car for the rest of the stat. And I absolutely love it. But speaking of bad acceleration, this car is not suitable for classic season because of Vanda and Huracan ramming into you, causing you to lose momentum. So for overall performance of this car, I would give it 9 out of 10 rating. Next we have Bugatti Centurieci. This car is terrible. No, I don't think that this would be the best way to describe it because it is not bad, but it is like not the thing that you would pay the price for it being a drive syndicate car, for which I think it is by far the slowest drive syndicate car. It is slower than Rimac Nevera, and after the debut, it was kept exclusive for the most part, except getting featured in Bugatti Chiron Spotlight event. But given the fact that it was Chiron Spotlight, I don't really assume that players would have gone for this car. Besides Spotlight event, it has been released previously in Buzzer Speed packs. But in general, this car is not really useful for multiplayer. And based on that, I do not really recommend anyone going for it. The car managed to go at the speed of 418 km per hour. The acceleration at 86 is the strongest stat of this car. The handling and drifting are good, and the nitro is better than most S-Class cars. Even though this car is slower, it tends to maintain its top speed pretty well. While we have discussed that acceleration is the strongest stat of this car can deliver in Godland. So that's the only useful scenario. I don't expect much beside that at this point. Because at higher multiplayer leagues, players are more skilled and they know how to drive any car properly. So next to them, you in this car might not even finish podium. But not if you are facing slower cars like Torino Design Supersport. This is not This is not gonna happen, but I think they should release this car in a special hunt. Because besides Spotlight and burst of speed, there is really not much happened with this car. So with the special hunt, it might be a good thing just to add in your collection, even if you are not meant to use it all the time. 7 out of 10. Next up, we have Torino Design Supersport, and it is just waste of resources. It does not have anything that stands out, and to be very honest, this car does not even deserve the resources that are to be spent on it. You probably question as to why that may be the case. Let me put the stats for you. The Torino managed to go at the speed of 422 km per hour. It has decent acceleration at 82. The handling is good and the drifting is tight, and the nitro is strong. But when we talk about the utility of this car, this is where we come to the point that this car does not deserve the resources that are to be spent on it. It is an S-Class car, and a lot of competition is faster than this car. For a quick context, a car that is equally capable to this car but a little better is Inferno Automobili Inferno. But now it has some licensing issues. I don't know if they have been solved or not. If anyone watching this from Mexico, drop your flag in the comment section. On the other side, I'm aware that this is not a fair comparison. But Koenigsegg Jesko, which is available to like every player, can go hundreds km per hour faster than this car. Yeah, you heard that right. Jesko goes 522 km per hour and this car goes 422 km per hour. So in the rating based multiplayer system, this car is of not much use. In the rank based multiplayer system, given its rank, it is likely to get paired with Chiron, Ragueras and Jesko. So not be your best bet. Only possible good usage I can see with this car is this car getting featured in a special event. 7 out of 10. Next up, we have Celine S7 Twin Turbo. This car is fun defined to its absolute extreme, but for some reason this car also needs coffee. GameLoft has awarded one of the worst acceleration to this car. And for that, while you may be an average player in the game, you need to be skilled at managing your speed with this car. We are talking about the top speed of 452 km per hour. This is about at the entry level territory of Bugatti Chiron's top speed. The acceleration stat is 69. Wait, now I have actually changed my mind. It is heavenly acceleration. The handling and drifting are extremely good, and the nitro is strong enough to support that heavenly acceleration. Now the question that begs is that should you go for this car? Well, I would say yes, but you need to be skilled dealing with this acceleration. If you are still thinking of heaven at this point, you are going to hell, my friend. Unpopular opinion, but I think you should go for this car. To be honest, it looks gorgeous and I would love to take it out all the time. But the horrendous acceleration is a bummer for me. This car can do decent job for you. However, if you don't manage to get this car, don't worry. Cars like Ultima or Chiron will do just fine for you. 7 out of 10. Next up, we have Rimac Nevera Time Attack. And while this car is built different in real life, it is also built different in the game. This car is an upgraded version of the existing Rimac C2, which Rimac later branded as Nevera. And this car had been record breaker in real life, but in the game, GameLoft decided to award it worse stat than the standard Nevera. I don't really know what they were thinking. It does not make any sense. When you look at the stat of this car managed to go at the speed of 424 km per hour. This is not a whole lot and pretty substandard if you look at the Rimac Nevera and way low if you look at the OG Chiron. It does excels in blink of an eye with 89 acceleration stat, which is actually top notch. But the speed sacrifice for this acceleration is so big that I would prefer it rather to excel slower and have more top speed. The handling is a bit better on this car, but the drifting radius is wide. Nitro is decent, but it is worse than regular Nevera. It has been released as a line pass car in the name of fixing the graphics, but GameLoft, instead of releasing a hotfix, released an update within an update and spared no way to get this car except swiping your credit card. So there is not a whole lot that this car has to offer in multiplayer, but it offers solid performance in Gotland mode. Later on, GameLoft released this car in a special hunt, which did cover a lot of my earlier grinds with this car, so I will keep it short. If the regular Nevera is gold, then this time attack is brass. Safe to say Nevera wins. 7.5 out of 10. Next up, we have Koenigsegg CC-XR. This car, for being a Koenigsegg, has been given unfair rank advantage over other cars. When this car was released, I actually had a love-hate relationship with this car, because this car pushed the Tuatara out of a S-Class Elite event, and then 2 to 3 months later, it got kicked out too by CC-850. This is just GameLoft philosophy. When you look at the performance of this car, you definitely question the rank. But now it does not matter. So let's simply talk about the performance. This car managed to go at the speed of 432 km per hour. Questionability is sitting at the top of Jesko, but it is 90 km per hour slower than Jesko. Yes, this gap is not small, and yet it still sits above the Jesko. So yeah, just normal thing done by GameLoft. The acceleration at 79 is decent, the handling and drifting are extremely good, and the car is a joy to drive. While this car may not go faster than Tuatara, it definitely handles a lot better, because Tuatara is a lot stiffer. The nitro efficiency is stronger than other faster S-Class car. This nitro can be used freely, and it actually helped the somewhat decent 79 acceleration stat. So, should you care enough to go for this car? Maybe not if it had been your first S-Class car, but it's a good car to be added in your collection. At this point, I would like to ask you, would you prefer cars like Tuatara or Jesko in the game that are a lot faster and a bit harder to tame? Or would you prefer cars like this car, which is slow but slightly easy to drive? Let me know, 8 out of 10. Next up, we have Jaguar XJ9. It is one of the fastest Jaguar in the game. So fast that it has broken the merits of Class A, and the car just straight up competes with S-Class car, going at the speed of 432 km/h. You may or may not be aware of this, but Inferno Automobili Inferno manages to go at this speed. As for rest stats, the acceleration is one of the worst, 69 to be exact. The handling is agile and the drifting is tight, and the nitro is also a step in the right direction. The nitro is extremely strong to make up for that holy heavenly acceleration. But still, this car is something that you will stay behind 60% portion of the track, and then you will manage to rocket past your competition. But in order to succeed while doing it, you actually need to be skilled at your game. And as for the noob that I am, prove that I don't certainly have those skills. In multiplayer, whether it is rating based or rank based, this car will serve you good if you manage to deal with its acceleration. But if you are in Go Slipstream, just presence of this car will make your competition shiver. However, you need to keep in account the physics of this car. This car is straight up not to use in Classic, because Vandas and Huracan will be ramming into you all the time, causing you to lose momentum. But it has power under the hood to fly past them like rocket. In the past, I have wished this car to come in a special hunt. I am pretty sure that would drive the community wild. And Gameloft has graced my desire, but in a different way. As I am recording this, it got featured in Grand Prix in Crimson Equinox season. So it is a big affirmative when it comes to going for this car. 8.5 out of 10. Next here, we have Rimac Nevera. This car has two emotions attached to it. While this car is one of the best cars in the game, it also got featured in one of the best Drive Syndicate events in the game. The timeless Syndicate event that everyone has a special place in his heart. Life was good when Gameloft held this much generous Syndicate event. Then we have LVN Drive Syndicate, and later on Rimac Drive Syndicate event was also ruined for Switch players. But since the Drive Syndicate event for this car was so generous, coupled with good performance of this car, it became an embodiment for the fact that you will not only remember this car but also the event as well. This car managed to go at the speed of 444 km/h, which is a fairly decent top speed. The acceleration at 87 is strong. The handling and drifting are extremely good. They are on par with Bugatti Chiron, and the nitro is low but it is manageable. When it comes to utility of this car will do well anywhere. It is one of the best cars to use both in Classic or Go Slipstream. It is enough to get you podium. My only gripe with this car is that not a whole lot of opportunities have been made possible in order to get this car. And Gameloft upsells this car along with Jesko. You already know the recent Jesko special event. Maybe they should release this car in a special hunt, but I know they won't because they have already released Time Attack that way. But let me know your thoughts to this fact. I would say 8 out of 10, but 8.5 out of 10 because why not? Next here we have Koenigsegg Gemera. This car is upgraded version of Rimac Nevera Time Attack, but even more useful. When it comes to Koenigsegg, I actually like this car because it's a fastest hypercar, but for family, often referred as Mega GT. If I have to pick one between Rimac Nevera Time Attack and this car, then that would be this car. This car managed to go at the speed of approximately 433 km/h. This speed is not toward high end of Class S, but better than Nevera Time Attack. The acceleration is top notch at 88, thumbs up in my opinion. The handling and drifting are like Chiron and the drifting speed is faster than Chiron. The nitro is decent. The car has been featured in Burst of Speed after its official debut and then in Epic Pre and Unleashed event. So should you go for this car? In my opinion, in a special situation where you already have other useful cars in Class S and if you are not waiting for something else, then yeah, this car is good option. The car is lacking for the top speed, but the other stats are a lot more compensating. But if you want solely top speed, then yeah, this is not a good choice. The car is well rounded and I don't see much of a complaints about it. 8 out of 10. Next here we have Deus Vayan. This car got featured in an extremely exclusive special event. Now get this car is fairly powerful, not the fastest but a joy to drive. And to put it simply, it's a Triumph Nemesis but with better acceleration. This is what used to be my intro about this car a year ago. And I would prefer to love this car, but Gameloft has tweaked it silently. I will tell you about it, but let's look at the stat. The Deus Fan goes at the speed of 462 km per hour. Not gonna lie, I think this car had the potential. The acceleration stat is 86, which is like really powerful given the fact that you get to compare it with Triumph Nemesis, which excels at 79, but almost 80. The Nitro is just as much challenging like Triumph. The handling and drifting part, this is where the nerf happened. This car used to have a lot sharper drifting like Bugatti Bolide. Like it will go inside while cornering, but Gameloft at some point nerfed it to the point that it started to go extremely wide. But in some recent days, Gameloft did buff it again, but it is not like what it used to. Now the handling is fine and the drifting is just functional. This acceleration is OP for Gotland, but now that the car handles and drifts average, this car is just average, but it is sort of evergreen. If you want to go for this car, proceed with caution. This is all I have to say. 8 out of 10. Next here we have the Ultima R.S, and I would call this a perfect car for Class S. If by any stretch of imagination you say that Ultima is not a good car, well, you need to see a physician immediately. And don't take this part as a light-hearted joke. Do it immediately. But let's get to the point. The car is extremely well rounded. Now I beg to differ here that it is not like so fast that it demolishes the competition, but it is sheer fun and decently fast. The car manages to go at the speed of 440 km per hour. So yeah, it is pretty respectable for Class S. The acceleration stat at 81 is also pretty decent. When it comes to handling, the car has extremely good handling, drifting, punching and floating abilities. And the Nitro is decent for the performance of the car. Now you also don't need to spend a ton of resources to get this car either. This car gets featured in a special hunt, and all you have to do is to keep up with the credits and grind a little. And you can not only get this car but also gold it. What a grown-up asphalt player could ask for more. And granted, this special hunt did not happen once. It is the only special hunt as for now which has happened twice. Just look at anywhere in the asphalt community or any review on YouTube about this car. You will not see any hater about this car. People do complain that it is not the fastest, so it is not the best, but we have cars like Lamborghini Autentica or FV Frangivento Sorpasso GT3 in Class S. And how beneficial do you think those cars are in Class S? At least Ultima offer the sheer fun and performance. Side note, I'm not comparing it with Frangivento and Autentica. 8.5 out of 10. Next here we have W Motor Lycan Neon Edition. This car is fairly equipped in terms of stat, but it's a bit overranked. It has been added to the game in 2024, and if you look at the performance of this car, while it is not too good, it is also certainly not worse. To put it in simple words, this car is a lot better than average. It manages to go at the speed of 451 km per hour. The acceleration is 82, which is decent. The handling and drifting are just as good as the normal Lycan Hypersport. But the Nitro on the Neon Edition is a lot better than regular Lycan. The Lycan Neon Edition does have potential when it comes to multiplayer, and overall it's a lot more well-rounded. Keep in mind that this is not a top speed oriented car, but it will do well in all types of season. 9 out of 10. Next here we have most expensive black car in the game, the Bugatti Lamborghini. I know why you all keep your cars black, to make them look amazing and expensive. Don't ask me why I keep mine as white, leave it at that. When you look at LVN, you are basically looking at key version of Chiron. Yes, this is how much similar they really are. I have compared them in a short as well, but the LVN managed to go at the speed of 467 km per hour. The acceleration at 84 is also decent. LVN is slightly better in handling, but it has slightly wide drifting radius. And if you try to do punches, it gets harder for you to tame it. The nitro efficiency is decent, but here comes the bad part. The car in itself is decent, but it is just another copy of Chiron. While Chiron is loved for being a free car, this car gets hated for being exclusive. Even at the time when I was scripting this, not a whole lot of opportunities have been made available to get this car, except getting featured in DS11. However, when you look at the performance of this car offers solid performance, but solid performance that Chiron already delivers. I won't say I hate this car, but there is no justification enough that I would say go for this car. 9 out of 10. Next we have Bugatti Chiron Supersport 300 Plus, and some of you now expect me to roast the hell out of this car, but it is not what you think. In fact, I used to call this a bad car, but turns out it is not. Let's say that it is just having a bad day in the game. So I'm going to put a different perspective before you for this car. When you look at the stat of this car, you are looking at the top speed of 477 km per hour. This is like a first disagreement with this car, because the name is 300 plus, which is for miles per hour. And the car goes 290 plus. That's why I call this car 290 plus. The car excels with 83 acceleration stat, which is good. But this is where the players actually don't really like this car. Supersport handles fine with the drifting radius. When average player drives it, it is wide. I used to call it bad drifting as well, until one of you pinned Scribble's video in the comment section. And I was shocked that Scribble was slaying the competition with this car, and the drifting was smooth. Now people have asked me not to use Scribble as an example, because he's so pro that he can make anything work. And I won't deny his potential and skills, but I also won't deny the fact that if he has done it, it means that it can be done, in a way that the car still has the potential. Now he was not like playing ordinary with the car. He had tamed the car with a different skill set, and after seeing that, I would say that this car can even outperform Chiron. But it requires taming in so many ways that you would question this car a lot. You are not at fault when you say that this car is bad, but this car has the potential. It just takes a really skilled player to harness it out. The Nitro, yeah, it's a lot challenging. So yeah, when people say that this car needs a buff, they are not wrong. The Nitro needs a buff, and so does the broken physics with the drifting. And if somehow Gameloft does that, I think it would be safe to say that you guys would beg to have this car. I would also love to include myself with you too, but now I have this car at max. So long story short, this car has the potential, it's just not straight up to see. I would say this car does not deserve the hate that it actually gets, 9 out of 10. But sometimes I wonder that is keeping a car broken really a way to keep it exclusive, in a way that not many players will go for it even if they release the car? It does make me wonder, I can be wrong about it. Next we have SSC Tuatara. This one is also another OG reminder of good old days. The event for this car had never been easy. It will still not be easy even if it gets released today. I have seen 3 instances already. So while this car is old, OG and powerful, Gameloft also upsells this car a lot. The car is more like your toxic ex. You will love it and you will hate it. If this reference is not suitable, then let me put this another way. When it comes to this car, there is a lot of love or hate from the players toward this car. Some people call it this is more balanced car and they love it, and others call it too stiff and they hate it. Since the stats are pretty much stacked up to the Jesko, people often prefer Jesko over this car. Whenever this car gets into any sort of debate, in all of these love and hate discussions, there is also some people who straight up comment that this car is for touch drive players. I just don't understand as to how is that relatable. When you look at the stat of this car managed to go at the speed of 515 km per hour. The acceleration stat is 82, which is decent. The handling is stiff and it is not as free as Jesko. The car is also heavy and does not do floaties. So just like Jesko feels more alive and bouncier, the Tuatara is more grounded. Lastly, the Nitro is decent. Now, should you go for this car? The answer depends upon 2 scenarios. If you just want to have fun with the car, then this car is not for you, because you will not enjoy this car. Just go for Zenvo or Tour and have fun driving that car, even if that car is not as fast as Tuatara. The second scenario is that if you prefer being in control and Jesko goes all over the place for you, then you can go for this car. 9.5 after. And while we are at it, let's discuss the SSC Tuatara Striker as well. This car may not be much, but it's a breeze of fresh air, if I'm being honest. How so? Well, after so many years, I think after like 2019, we actually had a drive syndicate which was so easy that you can complete it without spending real money. Now this may be due to some anniversary reason or whatever the reason might be. Gameloft deserves a round of applause for what they did with this event. As for the performance of the car, you are looking at the car which handles and drifts really well and feels light compared to regular Tuatara, and goes at the speed of 484 km per hour. The acceleration at 80 is decent, and the Nitro is also good. Now you may say that this is nowhere near as king, which it is not, but at least it is not faking to be king either. The car is a solid S-Class contender, and I would say if you don't like the regular Tuatara, I think you should give this car a try. During the DS11, stupid me forgot to work on this car enough so that I could cover it. I was too caught up in the syndicate event. Now you might say that this was not an easy event. And you would probably be right as well. Because if you are new to the game, then yes, this event was not for you. This event was good for OG players who had established garage. Because of 2 reasons. The car lineup and the number of races that you have to do in the event. The required cars were easy, and for less amount of pin missions, the event was giving more syndicate coins. As for the car, it is slower than the regular Tuatara, but fun and easy to handle. 9 out of 10. Next we have Koenigsegg Jesko. And I would say that this car does not need introduction. Words ain't even been invented yet to describe the sheer power and utility of this car. All of this takes one factor to look at. This car is sitting at mid of S-Class right now, but it demolishes every contender if you know how to drive it. When you look at the stat of this car, it manages to go at the speed of 522 km per hour. The acceleration stat is 80 at max, which is not bad, but it tends to be problematic if you own this car, let's say 3 or 4 star. The handling and drifting are extremely good and the nitro is enough. For more reference runs, you can look at other players' run who are more skilled and actually know how to drive this car. Because this car has a lot of potential. Mark my words, even if you play the game in 2030, this car will still be nailing it, even if it gets pushed to the bottom of Class S. However, GameLoft will still be upselling this car in that same year. 10 out of 10. Now we are approaching the territory of the cars that are way out of my league. Next here we have Koenigsegg CC850, and I have mistakenly called this car a spoiled brat a lot of time in the past. But what can I say? The reason why I said that is that this car was the most broken car that ever got featured as a main drastic negate car in 2023. And then it got featured as a feature car of another broken car, the Razor Tartarus. Now if you have listened to me carefully, I have said this car was the most broken car. Yeah, because now it is fixed, and spoiler alert, it now drifts just as good as cars like Bugatti Chiron, if not better. I have seen pros playing extreme with this car, and now this car is my absolute favorite in the game. So much so that it got featured in an extremely good event, and I unlocked and gold this car. So now my next target is Bugatti Bolide. This car managed to go at the speed of 503 km per hour. Now since the drifting has been fixed, I don't know if any of the other stat has been massively changed. So do let me know if it has. The car's acceleration is 82, which I would say it is not too much OP as it may call acceleration oriented. This acceleration is decent. When the drifting was broken, this acceleration was horrible. The handling and drifting are now extremely good. Lastly, the nitro is decent. It is not the best, but what this car has, it can be utilized better. Since the drifting and speed loss is fixed, so the car now stays at optimal speed bracket while cornering and turning. I used to like CCXR a lot over this car, but I am now glad that this car is also too much OP. Beside that, I am looking forward for your thought as to what do you think about this car. 10 out of 10. Next here we have Bugatti Bolide, and right at the bat I actually love this car. It is not the most stable thing, but it is sheer fun, and I love it. This car had never been king of the game, even on the day of its release. However, if you consider fun, then it is definitely the most fun car. This car managed to go at the speed of 522 km per hour. If you remember these stats correctly, then yeah, this is the exact speed of Koenigsegg Jesko. So you can see as to why it is not the king of the game. Bolide excels significantly faster when compared to other top speed oriented cars, 84 acceleration stat to be exact. And here comes the fun part. Bolide is exceptionally agile with extremely good drifting, great punching and floating abilities. And due to its drifting capabilities, I actually love this car. It is not really often you see yourself hitting inside if you don't drift carefully. The nitro is non-existent, not gonna lie. After its release, it has been featured in Absolute Drive Syndicate. And the car is so exclusive that it was not even released once in between this whole period. So here comes the final question. When it is not the king of the game, then what it can do? Well, Bolide offers sheer fun and absolutely peak of performance. And if you can harness it, you can nail the competition with this car. 10 out of 10. Next here we have Devel 16. This car, I don't know why it exists in the game, because I have compared it with the Dodge Challenger SRT8. And SRT8 completely demolished the heck out of this car. Okay, jokes aside for a while. But the existence of Devel 16 is a lot debating in the game. When it was released, people who were spender in the game absolutely loved it. And those who work hard to get useful car were questioning the potential of this car a lot. But then players spent money on this car and unlocked it. But GameLoft nerfed it. And now people who spend tons of money to unlock it were cursing GameLoft for it. But later on GameLoft buffed it again. I don't know, it is just a GameLoft thing. So the stat of this car are something that I can never be assured of. These days some people still hate this car and always complain about something with this car. But this car is undisputedly king of the game. And if not the king, then maybe co-king. I'm not sure if this is above absolute or not, but let me know. 10 out of 10. Next here we have Koenigsegg Jesko Absolute. It is straight up king of the game, but broken one. I have a lot of respect for the people who managed to get this car, and the people who actually know how to drive it properly, because Absolute on its debut was also broken. I don't know if it still is, and this is the prime reason that all of the people who asked me to feature this car in a short comparison, I did not grace your request most of the time, because this car is way out of my league. and I actually don't really know how to drive it properly. This car is king of the game, and whether or not it is justified, I would say that it has a lot more potential. Because in China version of the game, it goes so fast that it is hard to control it. So I'm looking forward for this car to either get fixed or to be let loose to more players. Speaking of it being broken, I am referring to the wall ride drifting of this car, because you cannot drift normally in this car. You just need to do the wall ride. 10 out of 10. Next here we have Razor Tartarus. This car is top of the line car in the game, but how much does it deserve to be placed ahead of every car? I don't really know, because I don't own this car. As for now, this car is way above my league, but there is a major issue with this car, that its drifting is broken. It loses ton of speed pretty quickly as you get even a little bit of cornering. I just barely hope that GameLove will fix this car in the future, but if they don't, then this car is just pointless and useless, not gonna lie. 10 out of 10, but barely for sitting at the top. Lastly, we have the last minute inclusion of Arash Imperium. Arash Imperium is top of the line competitive car in the game as I am recording this. So many players have gone for this car that majority of multiplayer lobbies at high ratings are just Arash versus Arash. Arash Imperium is basically competitive for two reasons. One is higher acceleration and other is that it is effortless to drive. You can imagine the performance of the car with the fact that it is nowhere near where Venom F5 is. But due to sheer effortlessness, it has become Vanda Imperium for Class S, which would be fine to some extent, but bad part does not end here. GameLoft has released Evo tuning to Ferrari SF90 Stradale, and the people who may have spent $5,000 on this Arash are now getting outpaced by a 5-year-old not so much used car. Because in specific Evo tunings, SF90 excels just as fast as this car does. 10 out of 10, but at what cost, I would like to ask. Anyway, you're probably wondering that I made this much big of a video, so like how is it possible, or how it was like. Well, to be honest, I have worked bit by bit on the script and I recorded the audio in bit by bit. This is the video that I did not sit and said to myself that I will only stop once I get done. It was a huge video, so I divided the task into bits of possible portion that can be managed, and little by little I made it happen. And the reason for this much delay is that I did not do the recording on the days when I did not feel like it. And there were many days like this. And on some other days, I had some other unavoidable circumstances. Now you probably say that these are not every key car that is in the game. Well, yeah, but I have been scripting this video since January 2025. And it was scripted in May 2025. A lot of key cars have been added during this period. But when I considered making all the possible attempts to feature every key car in the video, I realized that I was trying to achieve perfection, which may be fine to some extent. But even if I try way hard to feature every key car and make this video a perfect guide for you, it would immediately get outdated the day when GameLoft releases the new update, which will have some key car. And GameLoft does this every 2 months or so. So I decided not to rush with perfection. Rather, this will be a perfect ground to lay the foundation of part 2 of the series. And I want you to play your part in laying the foundation of part 2. So name me the cars that are not in this video. You can copy other people's comments too. Even if you contribute with one car, you are playing your part. This video is just a reminder for you to never underestimate the power of small habits combining to a greater effect. Let me know which car I have missed so far, and if you want a review about all the Ferraris in the game, check in the pinned comment, because the end screen do not work with my current aspect ratio. I will see you there.